Good morning, good evening, Toastmasters and guests. You are welcome to Interpersonal Toastmasters Club, the club where everyone is welcome to grow and to connect with one another. As your presiding officer this morning, I would like to introduce the theme of the day. But before I do, I would like to let you know how this meeting will run today. Today, we have an educational program, and to educate us today is none other than the distinguished Toastmaster Srinivas, who will be joining us in a few minutes. I do not know if I can see him. Please confirm if he is in the room.
He's not here yet.
He's not here yet. As we wait for distinguished Toastmaster Srinivas, I would like to let you know how the meeting will run this morning. And this is how our meeting will run. We will have our role taker. The only role taker we have today is our timer, who will be introducing his role. Then we will also have a time for us to have our induction by our area director, Mike Young, who is in the room. And after Mike Young has inducted or installed us as officers to the club, I will give an opportunity for our guests to introduce themselves to us, and we will get to know you a little bit more. Then after that, I will introduce our guest speaker who's introducing a theme, and our theme is tips and tricks of table topics. Table topics is impromptu speaking. So we will be getting a chance to learn from him. And after he's made his presentation, which will be 25 minutes, we will have a chance to interact with him, ask some questions, make some comments. Once he is done with that, then I will invite him to take a chance on us as club members to practice our impromptu speaking. So without further ado, I'd like to invite our only role taker, the indomitable William James, to tell us what his role will be. Welcome, James.
Thank you. Good morning, good evening. I am the timer. Timing is an important part of speeches, as a speech that is not too long or too short is more likely to capture people's attention and leave an impression. During the table topics, I will be keeping track of the speaker's time. If you see this green background, then it means that you have finished your required speaking time. If you see this yellow background, then it means that your time is about to be over. And if you see this red background, it means that your time is over. You don't have to stop speaking, but start finishing your points and wrapping up. At the end of the meeting, I will let everyone know what their time was. Thank you. Back to you, Catherine.
Thank you so much, Villamor, for presenting your report. Your expectations of us, and we will indeed adhere to your expectations. I would like to confirm if all the officers for our club are present today. I would like to confirm if we have in the room our Vice President membership she has. Is he in the room? No, he isn't. Okay. As it exists, we have an installation ceremony. Mike Yang, our area director, you are welcome to take to the podium and induct the officers for Toastmasters for Professionals.
Thank you, Catherine. First of all, I'd like to say that I am honored to serve as your area director. I'm already impressed by your club, and I expect that I will learn a lot from you over this coming year. If there is ever anything that I can do to help with anything regarding your club, please don't hesitate to ask. But today, I'm here to install. But first, I would like all of you to use your imagination for a moment and imagine that we are all in one room. The sun is shining through the window, and all is right with the world. So now at this point, I would like to ask all outgoing officers that is officers whose term ended in June, to please rise. Okay. You are discharged from all further duties and responsibilities as officers of Toastmasters for Professionals, club number 28675931. Now I'm going to, I don't see everyone here, but I'm going to call you by name. And if you're not, if the officer is not here, we'll just go to the next one. Sergeant at Arms, Shukruth. Not here. Treasurer, Ekta.
Yes, I'm here.
Ekta, as the treasurer, you're responsible for notifying and collecting club dues, issuing checks, and paying all club bills. Will you perform these duties to the best of your ability?
I will.
Thank you. Is our secretary present?
No, he isn't.
Okay. Guillermo, President of Public Relations, you're responsible for preparing and executing club publicity programs. Will you perform these duties to the best of your ability?
I will.
Shihas is here or no?
No.
Okay. Mohan, as Vice President Education, you're responsible for coordinating the club schedule, assigning member mentors, assist members to complete educational awards. Will you perform these duties to the best of your ability?
Yes, I will do.
Catherine, having been elected as president of Club Toastmasters for Professionals, number 28675931, you are its chief executive officer and expect to preside over every club, business, and executive committee meeting. You lead and guide your club and work with your club leaders to earn accomplishments in the Distinguished Club program and to enable members to achieve their educational goals. Will you perform these duties to the best of your ability?
Yes, I will.
At this time, I would like to, for us all to renew our Toastmaster promise. So I'll read them off one by one, and I'd like you to repeat them after me.
Yep.
As a member of Toastmasters International and my club, I promise.
As a member of
I'm of Toastmasters International and my club, I promise
To attend club meetings regularly.
to attend club meetings regularly.
regularly.
To prepare all of my projects to the best of my ability, basing them on the Toastmasters education program.
To prepare all of my projects
projects
to the best of my ability, basing them on the Toastmasters education program.
To prepare and fulfill meeting assignments.
To
Prepare for and fulfill meeting assignments.
To provide fellow members with helpful constructive evaluations.
to provide
Provide
fellow
fellow
members
members with helpful constructive evaluations.
And to help the club maintain the positive, friendly environment necessary for all members to learn and grow.
To help the club maintain the positive, friendly environment necessary for all members to learn and grow.
To serve my club as an officer when called upon to do so.
To serve
To serve my club as an officer when called upon to do so.
To treat my fellow club members and our guests with respect and courtesy.
To treat my fellow club members and our guests with respect and courtesy.
And courtesy.
To bring guests to club meetings so they can see the benefits Toastmasters membership offers.
To bring guests to club meetings so they can see the benefits Toastmasters membership offers.
To adhere to the guidelines and rules for all Toastmasters education and recognition programs.
To adhere to the guidelines and rules for all Toastmasters education and recognition programs.
And finally, to act within Toastmasters' core values of integrity, respect, service, and excellence during the conduct of all Toastmasters activities.
To act
To act
within
within Toastmasters' core values of
integrity,
respect,
service,
service, and excellence during the conduct of all Toastmasters activities.
Thank you very much. You are all now officially installed as officers of Toastmasters Professionals, Club 28675931. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mike. Would you club members give a round of applause to our area director, Toastmasters Mike Young, and to the club officers for taking on this role. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you very much, Toastmaster Mike Young. Do you have any words for us as officers? Do you have any parting shots for us as club officers? We would like to hear from you, your wisdom.
I would say, don't try to be perfect, just try to be excellent.
Thank you. That is so
Thank you.
relieving. I hope club officers, you feel that love and affirmation.
Yeah.
Okay. I'd like to confirm if our guest speaker is in the room yet. Anybody? Please check.
I texted
No.
Mary Thomas. She has sent. She's trying to reach out to him. He's not reachable actually.
Not yet in the room. Okay. In light of what I promised that we would have our guests say hello to us, I would like to recognize the presence of Brooke Mata, the presence of Jane Lazier. I would like to recognize the presence of, I saw Rachel somewhere. Was I right? I saw Rachel in the room. Rachel Sharp, has she left the room?
Yes.
Okay, good. Brooke, would you please say hello to us and introduce yourself to the club? How did you get to know about our club? And how can we make sure you stay in this club? Because we'd love to connect with you. Welcome.
Yeah,
Please
hi
take
everyone. Thank you for welcoming me today. I have a friend who did Toastmasters and spoke really highly of it, and I was interested in at least checking it out. I do need to do some public speaking for my job, and I'm interested in improving my skills. Typically pretty nervous speaking in front of a group, so definitely want to continue doing it and just get more comfortable.
Thank you. You are welcome. Do you know, would you like to share the name of the person who shared about the Toastmasters Club?
Yes, it wasn't this one specifically. He's actually based in Virginia, so I think he did a local one there, but his name is Nicholas Kent.
Okay, thank you. Like, I hope that you consider, I hope you liked our meeting today. It is an educational program, so it is an opportunity for you to also practice. You will be given a chance to practice. So at Toastmasters, we basically learn and practice at the same time. So it isn't one of those meetings where you get to learn, go back home, read, and establish what you think you need to do. Immediately, you are on spot to try out what you are learning. So I think that's a great opportunity, and I'm glad that you chose Toastmasters for professionals, because there are various clubs, but this is one of the clubs I guarantee you will benefit from as a person who has to speak in front of very many people. This is the club that gives you that kind of opportunity. So welcome once again, and I hope that you stay in the room forever, you know. So welcome once again. Jen, are you there? Are you able to speak and introduce yourself? Because I don't see your face.
Hi, yeah. So I've actually been a member of this group for the last few months. I think I joined in late May or June. So yeah, I'm just looking to improve my public speaking. I know that I've been connecting with Mohan to get some more resources on when I can do a speech. So I'm hoping to do that in the next week or so. Yeah, just happy to be here. I know I usually just kind of hang out and listen to speeches, but I'm excited to be speaking some more. Thank you.
It's good to see your face again. Thank you so much, Jen, for coming. And I hope that Mohan has taken note of your concerns to be able to speak. We have a speakerthon coming up. And Toastmasters, I'm asking you and guests to reach out to Toastmaster Mohan, our VPE. He should be able to help you get yourself started on your program and see you project to the next levels in your pathways. But as I go forward, I'd like to hear from Toastmaster Dr. Mary Thomas. I would like to know if our guest speaker is on his way or if he's in the room soon. We've been waiting for him to come and take us.
I just spoke to him. He is coming in.
Wow.
Okay.
Good.
Thank you so much. Okay. As we wait for our guest speaker to come in, I would like to take this moment to ask a few of our members to just share something about the past weekend. What in your life, what in your growth, what have you been experiencing? And I'll take an example for myself. I have had an opportunity to connect with my family. My children are going back to school next week. So we had a time to go to one of the beautiful islands called Langkawi in Malaysia. Beautiful island, beautiful island. We had an opportunity to just connect. And for me, what the biggest part was just sitting on the boat and gliding on the river and just listening to the sound of the waters and taking in the green and connecting with nature. It was so affirming. It was so refreshing. I feel enthused. I feel refreshed. I do not know what about you, what has been happening as we wait for our guest speaker. Please take to the podium, just unmute yourself and take to the floor. It is your time to shine. Come on.
So this is Dee Marie. I am on my phone, so I don't know how to maneuver around anything. I'm lucky to be able to speak and have you hear me, okay? But I had to come on and talk about on Friday of last week, I was able to successfully host an international domestic violence summit in Nashville, Tennessee. And it was the first time that a summit on domestic violence had been in Nashville. We received a letter from the mayor of the city welcoming us to the city. The presenters or the speakers on that summit were excellent. And I've been getting phone calls and social media posts, text messages all weekend long at how great it was. And Dr. Mary Thomas was one of the speakers or presenters at that summit. It was wonderful. It was absolutely phenomenal. So thank you.
Thank you so much, dear Marie Shaki, for sharing that. We'll look forward to listening to some of that in some of the speeches to come. I'm excited about that. It's one of the most important topics of our day and time. So anybody else, please take to the podium. Tell us, what was it like this weekend?
If I may add to what Toastmaster Dee Marie has mentioned, that's had a spin-off effect as I was speaking to people here. And the spin-off effect was that I wanted to know how, though I shared about the experiences in Asia of how domestic violence is managed in Asia, very different from the United States or any of the other predominantly first world countries. One of the things that I mentioned over here, as I spoke to a few doctors, was that I'm in India, right? So in India, apparently, if a man beats up the wife, the way they manage it is the wife will beat the man back. I was really stunned to hear that because they don't want to divorce. They don't want to end the marriage. I was really surprised that that was the stand that was taken here, because generally, I think, I don't know how a woman can beat up a man, but that's what they told me. So it's very balanced. You beat me, I whack you. You whack me, I whack you back. You abuse me verbally, I'm going to abuse you even more. That was surprising. I don't think I can do that.
Wow, That is amazing to hear. Oh my goodness. It's just, funny, but real, There are some parts of the world in Africa, for example, where it actually does happen. But also there are some parts of the world where on the other side, the women have now started to abuse the men. And it's all coming out of people groups or gender groups growing, and that you could call it masculinity. Sometimes you can call it feminism, whichever it is. There are factions of people that are doing different things to balance out and it depends on the culture as well. So thank you for sharing that, Dr. Mary Thomas and DeMarie Shai King. We look forward to something, and I'm passionate about this, and I'm just waiting to hear more, but also to engage more on topics like this. Anybody else, please share with us. Club Coach Susan, we'd love to hear from you.
Well, I had a small adventure in that in another club from California District 101, joined up with a district from 41, which was India. And we were to be celebrating Independence Day for India. So happy Independence Day to those of our Indian friends, those originating in India. But we also had an adventure where each one of the clubs took on the various roles, and we realized there are subtle differences between the clubs and the roles that they have. So we imparted some wisdom for them, and they imparted some wisdom for us, and we both came away winners. It was a lovely experience.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster DTM Susan. Thank you so much for sharing that. And happy Independence Day to India. We have been told this is your 77th Independence Day. In my background, I have heard that 7 is a number of completion. So 77, double completion. I hope that India's dreams do come through. A few weeks back, there was a row in India about different factions fighting, and that broke my heart. I was concerned. And so seeing the celebrations of independence brings healing, brings, a hope that we're a united people. Somebody else, I've received a message from the chat room. Is that Hector? Anybody else would like to take to the podium? Tell us about how did you celebrate? Yes.
I would like to add something, Catherine. So talking about Independence Day for India, I stepped out and got into a challenge, and that was to create a recipe which shows the tricolor. So the Indian flag has tricolors. It's the saffron, then the white and the green. And I am not a great cook. And I was racking my brains as to what should I do so that I can make something. And I was multitasking. I was at work and I prepared some lunch, which was like tricolored rice. And so within my lunch break, I managed to do that and created a picture. So like posted a picture on my family group, but that was so great. I didn't know I could do that, especially while I was doing payroll at work. And it was like, I think I tested my multitasking skills today. And that's the reason I'm wearing some orange today. So yeah, that was just my, it said that independence is when you gain freedom from something. And I felt that I gained freedom from my inhibiting, limiting beliefs. And I just went a step ahead and participated for a very first time in a cooking competition, or it's just an online WhatsApp competition wherein I posted a picture of my recipe. I never do that because I'm not good at presenting, like your culinary, whatever dish you have created, and to an unknown audience. So I've done all that today.
Wow, wow, wow. What a lovely, lovely, lovely expression. Ooh, I can
Runda,
imagine.
what is the dish you prepared the recipe for, you posted the recipe for?
Sorry?
What is the dish you posted?
Oh, I called it the tricolor rice. So it was just rice.
Okay.
It was tomato rice, plain rice, and spinach rice that I created. So,
Nice.
and I plated it so that it falls like it looks like it looks presentable like a rice container. I will try to share the picture if I can.
Yeah.
can imagine the spinach rice green. Goodness, that was very creative. Anybody else, please share your weekend as we wait for our guests.
Coming to the Independence Day. So in my team, we have people from Argentina, Mexico, the States, and India. So last month we had our US counterparts, US employees celebrating Independence Day. This month, Indian people, Indian employees are celebrating Independence Day. Next month, again, people are taking leave. They are celebrating Mexico Independence Day. So every month, somebody is getting Independence Day. So we are just making some joke at office today.
So you're all independent.
Yeah, every month. We have a team of all Mexico, India, and US. We are all thinking every month Independence Day is coming. Yeah, coming to the weekend thing, the last weekend, I mean, my work was also a bit hectic, so I could not go out. But I have 3 daughters, very active daughters. They like badminton. So we had some net and then put that net and played shuttle badminton with my daughters over the weekend. So that was a very quick and refreshing thing for me over the weekend.
Just an update, President. Sri thought it's tomorrow.
Oh.
No, but he's coming.
Okay.
He got the dates and the timing mixed up. And this is what happens when we have different timings. So he's getting ready and he just messaged me, give me 5 minutes. So let's go on with our own table topics. We haven't heard from a few, like Mike, John, Jen.
Yeah. Hi, folks. If we're on the topic of weekends, I'm drinking out of a fire hydrant here. I've taken on this new role in Saudi Arabia. I'm based out of here, and it's a regional role, so I'm working 10 hours, 12 hours a day. It's like just out of this world. So I'm trying to cope with that. And the way I cope with stress and a lot of work is through physical exercise. One of my favorite things is swimming. And it just so happens where our housing compound is, it's got its own private beach. And so after work, I maybe hit the gym a little and then I go for a swim. Unfortunately, this whole area of Saudi is part of an industrial city. And it seems like that they've recently built a outfall or an outlet where they periodically release what smells like sewage into the water here. So I was swimming the other weekend and I'm like, oh, this is great. It's hot as heck and I'm going through the motions. And all of a sudden, I started realizing there's this bad stench. So I got out of the water and I spoke to one of my colleagues here and he says, yeah, that's changed over the past few years. They put this outlet here and it's kind of ruined the beach. You can't tell visually, but on occasions, I guess, when they release it, you can smell it. So I went down. I used to work here about 7 years and I went down the beach. So there's a naval base, military post that's probably 3 miles, 4 miles long. So I went down to the other end where I used to swim years back, and they've reconstructed the road so you cannot drive to the beach. It's just straight into the military base on the south side. So I went a little off-roading, and the beach, water's aqua. It looks almost like it does on the Red Sea side. Very beautiful, bright blue, aqua, different colors. So I park, and this, what used to be a water inlet is formed into a lagoon. So there's no way to drive to the beach. So I had to cross the lagoon. As soon as I stepped into the lagoon, there's this black muck. So only thing I can think of is that there was a big oil spill some years back and it settled, and now there's sediment on top of it. It looks pristine, but as soon as you walk in it, so I said, the heck with it, I'm going. It's probably about 115, 118 degrees out Fahrenheit. And I'm walking through this black muck, and it wasn't bad. It doesn't stick in. So I get to the beach. I'm like, all right, here I am. So I dove into the water, and after swimming, maybe because it's a very gentle slope to get out to deeper water. So I stood up and I was again in the black muck. So it was a little depressing to see how much environmental damage the effects of this industrial cities had on the coast. And it's been around for a while, but now it's getting older, and I think the effects are starting to show environmentally. So that was my weekend. I'm looking forward to going further south and finding some place that's nice, but it's a shame that this beachfront unit doesn't have water you can swim in. And then that was my weekend.
Thank you so much, John. That was awesome.
Now, talking about weekends, considering this was Independence Day weekend, a lot of movies were released in India, a lot of sequels, and I was lucky to watch two of the movies over the weekend. One was OMG 2 and one is Gadar 2. Both of them are sequels of very famous movies that were there earlier. And I really enjoyed watching both of them. Bollywood movies, as you all may know, are very famous for bringing in entertainment. OMG 2 is about Oh My God 2, version 2, where a person is kind of in a trouble because his son is going through depression because he is not aware of sexual education as much, but then he gets guided and his family is able to overcome the situation very well. So that's the movie all about, but it was very hilarious. Catherine, are you speaking on mute?
Thank you. Kudos to you, John, for finding ways to manage the working pressure. My husband works for the Global Shared Services here in Malaysia, and it feels like they work for the stock exchange. Like there's no time to rest. There's not even a minute. So it is very gruesome if you don't have that opportunity to vent, to rest, to and so Hector, talking about those movies, I hope I get a chance to watch any of them. Please take a moment to share them, and that's a very touching movie. Take a moment to share them in the group so we can connect with community, and sometimes it might be something that we'll learn from and use it as a speech or use it as a project to help another person. It's very real what children go through. Very real, very real. So thank you. Anybody else?
Madam President, our guest has arrived.
Our guest has arrived. Thank you so much, Susanna. I was looking forward to that. Just before our guest takes to the podium, I'd like to just mention a few things about him and maybe give him a chance later to say hello to us before he gets into his meeting. DTM Srinivas, you are welcome. Let me take a moment to talk about you briefly. Our guest speaker today is the distinguished Toastmaster Srinivas KM. He is the founder and CEO of Sims Consulting Services. He is also a Maxwell Leadership Certified Team Coach. He is also a speaker and DISC trainer. For some of us who have experienced DISC, I know our club has had a DISC trainer come speak to us before, but I've also had an opportunity to be assessed by DISC. And DISC is one of those good, I call them mirrors. They help us see ourselves for our true value. He is an environmental engineering consultant. John, you might want to talk to him about what's happening in your area. But he is, most importantly to us, the immediate past district director 102. And he is here to talk to us about tips and tricks of table topics. A round of applause, Toastmasters and guests, to welcome the distinguished Toastmaster Srinivas.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much, Dr. Mary, and thank you so much for the introduction. I am no more immediate past because new term has started. I'm just past. Yeah, I was immediate past when we did agree to come to this particular event, and yes, I was a month ago. And new term, new thing, and it's exciting to see all of you there. A little bit about myself. I'm from New Delhi, India, and I was born and brought up and raised up there. I came to Malaysia about 18 years ago, and we met, me and Dr. Mary met in Ideal Advanced Toastmasters Club, where we formed the club about 2 years ago. Another interesting thing about me is when I was growing up, speaking was not my thing. Why? I still remember a time where my school had this weird tradition. Every week, they will choose one of the kids and ask them to read a newspaper article. This was about 3 decades ago, more than that. And that time, as a kid who was about 8 or 9 years old, I was excited because in those days, we don't have so many channels. The only people you see a few times a day on the screen of a TV is a newsreader. They are the celebrities few decades ago. And I aspired to be one of them. So I would practice it. And one day I got the opportunity to speak in front of an audience, which is my classmates, my schoolmates, and my friends. 200 of them standing there. I got my newspaper, I held my paper, I was prepared for it, I practiced it. And as I was reading, I remember it very clearly. It was 1985. I was about 8 years old. And I heard, and I mentioned the Prime Minister, Rajiv Gandhi, said this. And suddenly I got a whack on the back of my head. I turned around. It was my principal. I didn't know what went wrong. All she said was, do you think Prime Minister is your uncle? You have to say, Mr. Rajiv Gandhi. I looked at this, the script, the newspaper cutting. There was no Mr. It was just the Prime Minister and the name. And I looked at the teacher and I wondered, do I argue? Or what do I do now? I'm right. She's not. And I'm 8 years old. She's the principal. Don't argue. I looked at my friends. Everybody was laughing. That's the day I realized that your friends will laugh the most when you're publicly embarrassed. And true friends will point finger at you and laugh. But that moment for an 8 years old boy wasn't fun. It told me that public speaking is not my thing. Script is not my thing. It took me about a decade to stand in front of a stage where in my church, I was asked to share something. This time, I was scared and nervous once again. I had the script. I went on the stage, standing in front of about 500 people. I went speechless. Everything was blurred. I was prepared for speaking for 5 minutes, and I was done in 2 minutes. My friend said, you edited the speech? I said, no, I couldn't even read the speech. And I said, remember one of the senior leaders came and said, first time? I said, yes. He said, it's okay. It happens. It took me more than a decade to really come up and stand up in front of the audience and say, I can speak. And one of the things I was fascinated in Toastmasters when I attended the first meeting was table topics. Why? Number one, you don't need a script. Number two, you can speak anything around the topic, off the topic, against the topic, whatever topic, no topic, you can still speak. And people are nice in Toastmasters. They will still clap for you. And they even vote for you. And sometimes, even you speak out of the topic, you can become a best speaker. And you have no idea why, and I don't want to find out why. And that's how my journey began in Toastmasters. The first topic I got was dream. I don't know what exactly I spoke about, but they all voted me best speaker. I said, this is the place I want to be. No script. And you get voted. Then you get a ribbon, which you don't know what to do. But yes, it's nice to have a ribbon. And then you get shown at Facebook page and everybody says, great job. Nobody knows that only 10 people were sitting in front of me, but that's fine. It feels great. From an 8-year-old boy who was embarrassed, felt humiliated and discouraged, and I felt that the whole thing changed. the way life has brought me to understand. And that's when I discovered that we all can speak. And that's where I started talking a lot about table topics, impromptu speaking, because I felt that this is something which can change. As the host is going to disable me allowing my screen, in the moment I'm going to share that what it led me. From a guy who couldn't speak using the script, I wanted to become a person who is able to speak without a script. So I started saying this particular thing, from speechless to scriptless, but that was my life. And yes, it took me a lot of time to reach where I am today, right? Because yes, we all have a past. Don't you all remember a time that somebody said, you are good for nothing. You can't speak, you can't sing, you can't do this, you can't do that. And very often we believe in the past. I believed for more than a decade. And I had a choice. So for 10 years or more, I ran from it. Then I started accepting it. And it took me a while to say, yes, I can learn from it or I can run from it. And that's where my journey of dream began. How did it? I remember as a new Toastmaster for about 3 months, I was sitting and watching a division contest finals. And I saw these amazing speakers speaking on the stage. They were humorous, they had meaning, they had stage control, they are passionate, and everybody was glued to them. I was sitting behind and said, one day, I want to be up there on that kind of a stage, and I want to contest. And I still remember I was about 1.5 months as a Toastmaster then, less than 2 months. It was in March 2015. And I became Toastmaster in February 2015. So I know that it was about less than 2 months. And I decided that one day I'll be on the stage. It took me a while. And then in 2018, I received an opportunity to go on the stage, and I lost it at district finals. But 2019, I made it. When I lost in 2018, I lost against the Toastmaster who I saw in 2015 on the stage winning the competition. But in 2019, things were different. I learned again from my past. So I'm going to share a few things which I've learned from my journey in Toastmasters, my journey before Toastmasters, things I've learned about table topics, and we go around. Okay. First thing what I learned was listening. Why? The topics are not hard unless we listen to them carefully. And very often we feel that, did I hear the correct topic? The answer is that not really. When anybody reads a topic to you, we have 3 things on our mind: the right answer, the genuine, which comes from our guts, and what I would like to speak about. That's where we have to think. Do you really want to speak what you want to speak about, or something tells you, prompts deep down in your heart and say, speak about this, speak about this, speak about this. You remember the incident? Remember somebody said something to you? Right. So let me ask you one thing. If I were to ask you one simple question and you can put the answers in the chat box. Let me put, what is more important, health or wealth? Put in the chat box. Both, health. Only one person said, Mohan says wealth. Mike also says it. That's why, Mike, you are young. So yes. Now let me rephrase the question. What is more important? Healthy in relationships or wealthy in relationships? Sounds different, isn't it? Healthy relationship. Healthy relationship. Now, most people will say in relationship, we should be healthy, right? We can't just be wealthy and say that I own this and all, right? Only Ekta says wealthy relationships. I'm the richest woman in the town. So yes, Ekta, go for it. I'm with you. Buy me a drink later. Okay, so, right. Now let me rephrase it again. Okay. In terms of career, would you want to be known as a person who is healthy, professional, or a wealthy professional? Mohan says wealthy. See, Mohan, I like the consistency of Mohan. He's like, whatever it is, it's going to start with wealth. Wealthy pro. If you notice that, the reason I'm asking these questions is that every time if I extend the question, the responses will change. And that's what table topics is all about. When you listen to people, you decide what perspective you're going to speak about. Each of you, I'm sure you have a story behind what you're saying there. Vrinda is more diplomatic. She's like, wealthy professional needs to change to healthy pro. Wow. Good to know that. Since you are a wealthy professional, you have the money to become healthy pro. Maybe you can hire a healthy pro to guide you as well. So yes, Vrinda, that is nice. So what I mean to say is that when you listen, you don't listen exactly what is being said. You listen from who you are, what you are. And very often we try to adapt to the people who they are. Now, I don't know your audience is one important thing, but I think the most crucial thing is that speaking from deep down what you believe in matters a lot in every table topics. Why? Because that not only gives you confidence and conviction, it's backed up by your personal life story. That's what I want to share today. What it backs up is the things of, and very often we have self-limitation imposed on us. We feel that, can I really speak honestly, upfront about this topic? And the answer is yes. Can the audience handle it? No. So what should I do? Don't speak. The whole purpose is for the benefit of the audience. If they're not ready for it, don't speak. If you're not ready for it, no way you speak. If both are ready for it, that's how you speak on. Very clear. You're ready, audience is ready. You don't know if the audience is ready or not. Give it a try. Say something, look at their reactions, and they say, they are not ready. Let's improvise it for a different perspective. And you move on with that. That's impromptu speaking. And the important element is that all limitations are self-imposed. And very often when people say, I am not a very good impromptu speaker, I'm like, me too. I can relate with that. But hey, we can become one. I was not a good speaker. Me too. I can become one. I was not a Toastmaster. See, I became one. So something you discover in life, what? You can become one if you want to be one. If you want to be one. And all we want in life is that it's the things which are imposed on ourselves, say get rid of those things. But let's get rid of the basics of table topics. In contest, these are the things we look at. If you're looking for contest perspective, remember that. Don't go off the topic. From a contest, you don't go off the topic because judges are looking at it, right? In a club, that's fine. In a contest, no, you have to, they not only have structure of the speech, but it has to be effective. And most importantly, it should be connected with the topic because in a contest, it matters a lot. Appropriateness does matter. Other things is that these three elements are there in a contest. Language is not the biggest concern. I'm not sure if all of you, how well do you speak? When I spoke, I was told, being from India, I have a different accent. I speak differently. Some say you sound Indian, some say you don't sound Indian. I'm like, some say you sound Malaysian. So now I'm confused. My Malaysian friends say you're a little bit Indian, not a little bit Indian. My Indian friends say you're kind of Malaysian now. I said, good. As long as you can understand English, I'm good with that. So the most important part in your language part is that forget about the accent. As long as there is a clarity in your words, that's what it is. Clarity in your words with appropriate words. Don't have to be fancy, bombastic words. Trust me, if judges don't get your words, you don't get points. Make their life easier, not very complicated. Second thing, delivery. Each of us have a strength. I'm going to bring right after this what does mean by delivery. Either the way we present or the content, the structure of the content. What do I mean by that? 4 different elements which changes the way we speak. Number 1, what do you want your audience to know or learn? This should be way before even you're given a topic. What do you want? Right. And guess what? You speak for something from your passion. What do you want your audience to think about? What do you want your audience to feel? Do you want to be sad, excited, emotional? And finally, what do you want them to do? Do you want them to take an action right away? Or just think of something and say, hey, I'm going to go back and do something. So if you're clear about these 4 things, your speech in your subconscious mind starts structuring itself. If you're clear about what you want. If you can answer these things, yes, you can. Okay. Now, I was saying about the 2 things, right? The speech delivery and the content of the speech. That is called matter and manner. Matter is the content. Manner is the way we present it. Some of you are amazing in your way you structure your content. You have an amazing story. You remember the quotes, the sayings. Yes, sometimes you even remember the poetry. You're amazing with that. Use that. Some of you are just good with your manners. There you stand on the stage, you walk around with confidence, with hand gestures, with eye contact. You look around everybody, everybody's amazed. You have it in you. Use it for your advantage. Now, each one of us is good with either of them and great with either of it. So you got to decide, am I great with matter or am I great with manner? I personally know I'm great with manner more than matter. So I work on my matter, but today I leverage on my manner, the way I present when I'm standing on the stage. It comes naturally to me. I said, great. So I make sure my strength remains my strength and my weakness is able to cover up my strength. So they both together are fine. So you must be 30% in matter or manner and vice versa. So you got to see where to stand. What is the strength? Take it, leverage on that. Next important element, you got to ask that your story and your voice. What do I mean by that? We all have stories. I started with the story, right? I started with 8-year-old boy. I started with going to a church, speaking in front of a few hundred people, not able to speak. I started with joining Toastmasters. So I got 3 stories, and each of these stories have I started, I failed, I started, I failed, and third time I started again, and then hey, I made it. That led me to a dream, and then I achieved my dream. That's my story. And then I said, that led me to become a person from speechless to scriptless. If you heard my story 1, story 2 of speechless, then you heard my story 3 of scriptless, winning a district competition. Understand that? And now you can relate with what I'm speaking. So I'm speaking about. So each of you have a story, not just one, a lot. Every single day there is a story. If you're able to look into it and reflect it, and trust me, nobody speaks better than you because nobody has experienced it better than you. And very often we think that I do not know the best way to say it. Say it the way you can. Think again, say it again. Think again, say it again from a different meaning. One story can be inspirational, one story can be motivational, same story can be persuading, and same story can be used for humor. It's your choice of words. It's the same story. So one of the way what we practice in tabletop is that same story, 5 different speech titles, how I'm going to use it. Same story. Okay. Can I use, say, a story about a speech about health versus wealth? Can I use my same story for same topic? Okay, so story about my challenges in life. Can I use the same story? And if you can do that, same story, 5 different speech topics, then you're able to learn and you're able to adapt your story and your voice based on that particular. Right. So let me start here. I love this one. You want to know what you want to be known for. I want to be known for table topics champion. That's what I remember that. So I'm going to do that. That's it. It's very clear. So I'm known for that now. I'm like, okay, one goal is done. One goal is done. And now I'm going to start about a little bit more of what we can do. We have 4 fears. Which one is your fear? Which one is your fear? Let's see that chat box. Mistake. Criticism. Mistake. Mistake. Okay. Everybody who said mistake, Ekta said criticism. Let me tell you, you have a story behind that fear. You have a story behind the fear. Have you ever spoken about the story? Have you ever seen that, how that mistake has made you who you are today? How that mistake defines you who you are today? How the mistakes tells people what you are today? Second thing, criticism. If somebody criticizes you, the question is that I will look away and say, yeah, they are right. That's the first thing I said earlier. What we tell ourselves, self-imposing limits. Or I will look at the criticism and say, I think I'm better than that. I don't need to prove anybody, but I think I'm better than that. And when you have the stories of criticism, when you have the stories of mistakes, they make the best stories. Why? Nobody loves a successful story on the stage. They learn a story of a human being who failed and came up, who did something, who struggled, who's still struggling, who's trying his best to grow and pick up things, put things back together. They want something they can relate with. We all have it. And if you're afraid of sharing your stories of fear and mistakes, that is the most valuable stories you can have in your life. So I would say that the best way to overcome fear, talk about it. Talk about your fears. One of my best speeches was the fear of me getting scared of a mouse. Yep, it was a tiny little mouse. And I told the speeches a few times, and everybody laughs it. You getting scared of a mouse? I'm like, exactly. It's not even David and Goliath. It's way tinier than that. But trust me, that is a story people love it. That's the story I tell. And I'm like, you're scared. I'm still scared of the mouse. And I still remember telling people the story. And my wife, who's 8 months pregnant, has to go behind the cupboard, push the cupboard, kill the mouse. And I was still scared. I was jumping on my bed, scaring, screaming, and all. And my daughter, who was about 1.5, she was telling that, can I go and see the mouse? Can I go and see the mouse? And I was like, no, why do you want to see the mouse? She said, I just wanted to find out, is it Mickey Mouse or Minnie Mouse? Right. So that was my humorous speech at one point of time. It was the mouse. It was a story of me getting afraid, but it became humorous speech. So we all have it. Add a little bit of it. Yes. And the fear of public speaking. Yes. Face it. So I'm going to move into new things there now, more practical stuff. Matter and manner, we just covered matter and manner. Next thing is Oreo. What does it mean in Oreo? In every table topics, you have an opinion. You know the opinions? Health versus wealth, healthy professional, wealthy pro. You have an opinion. When you have an opinion, please tell me what's the reason behind it. Because you have an opinion. If you're able to tell an opinion, you should be able to tell your reason. And if you're able to tell your reason, give me a story. Tell me an example. Tell me something which I can relate from your life, somebody's life, or something you've read, or something you found out, or you watched a TV and you watched a show. Something, an example to connect it. And when you've done that, hey, come back again and end the speech with your opinion, what you had that opinion for. That makes it a stronger, stable topic speech. Each of the categories, 30 seconds or plus minus, 2 minutes, you're done with your speech. And at the red light, all you got to do is that close with a very strong opinion. Start with an opinion, give people a reason, maybe more than one reason, tell a story as an example. Can the order be reversed? Yes, it can be, but it's easier to remember Oreo. But can an example come first? Of course. Opinion later? Sure. You can do that. Start with the reason? Sure. As long as you cover these 4, you're good with it. But make sure you end with a statement which they said that's your opinion. Another example is past, present, future. My opening, my past. Then I came to winning table topics. What I do now is my present. I haven't talked about my future yet. But that will be my future, to teach people what's going from speechless to scriptless. So that's what I would like to do with me. Is you got to say you have a past, talk about it. Come to your present, and then you say I'm going to do over future. And if you're able to tie your story between past, present, and future, revolving around the speech, that's a good speech. People love to connect with the past. They love to see what has the past made you who you are in your present. And so what you're gonna do in future. Everybody's excited. Everybody's curious as to what's your future plan. Everybody wants to know what you're doing, what you're gonna do. To connect these three things, and that makes a great speech. Third thing, pros and cons. I love this health and wealth. Why? It has pros and cons. I remember somebody mentioned earlier, when you have wealth, you can buy a good insurance. No, exactly. You can get a better hospital when you have wealth. You can get a better doctor. You can fly around in the world and get the best of the medical facilities when you have them. But other person might say that, but if you're not sick, you don't need all those things. That's right as well. So you got to make your stand on saying, you can start with pros and cons and make your stand. Or you can say, this is what I strongly believe. If you're in a table topics contest, start with the most controversial answer. Why? Majority goes with the answer. Majority goes with what the easiest one. So I was given a topic at a district contest for law and order is an illusion. That was my topic. Law and order is an illusion. The first thing I thought was law, order, break the rules. When was the first time I broke the rules? Okay, I remember I was 4 years old or 5 years old when I broke the rule. So I was starting, by the time the person was repeating the title, I was only thinking, was I 4, was I 5? Was I 4, was I 5? The moment he repeated the topic and passed the stage to me, I said, when I was 5 years old, I remember. And I started sharing when I was a kid, I broke some rules in the school, it was a primary school, and I shared that entire speech. Then I started connecting with, it's okay to break some rules. Avengers do that. Why did I mention Avengers? Because the day before Avengers released on Friday night, on Friday night, Avengers released, on Sunday morning, I was at the contest. Everybody can relate to Avengers that weekend. I said, man, they break some rules. And that's how you make things happen. Why? Well, Steve Jobs came up with this thing. He didn't say, let's make a keypad with a better phone with a better keypads. He said, no keypads, break the rules. So I started mixing up all those things and said, and I proved my point, it's law and order is an illusion. So I went. And that's what I went in that direction. So I went for the pros and cons and made my story. Now, in every speech, I believe we discover ourselves. I believe we discover ourselves. Okay. So I'm going to ask you one important question, which I asked earlier. Put in the chat box. What is the one thing would you like to be known for? Anywhere, work, office, home, family, everywhere. One thing you would like to be known for. Leadership. Okay. More if you have extension of leadership, do mention that. Authenticity. Okay. Service. You are the club coaches. Service. Leadership in family, office, and club. Okay, so that's all about leadership. Okay. Looking at Mike wants to be funny and smart, right? Oh. Leadership of financial acumen. Okay, that's interesting. Huh? All of these things, right? Now, this is where I want you to unmute and answer. Whoever can go first, just unmute yourself and say, what makes you think that you have the potential in that particular field? Let's start with Mike, because Mike is funny. Like Mike, smart. So I should start with Mike. Mike, would you be able to unmute and say, why do you think you want to be funny and smart, and why do you think you are now? I believe you are currently as well. Mike is able to unmute. Is it no? Okay. Brenda says reliable. Mike, if you're not, I will move to next. Are you there?
Can you hear me?
Yep, I can.
Yes. Well, I tell myself jokes all the time and I laugh. So I'm thinking if I crack myself up, I should be able to crack up other people.
Yeah, you should. Do you want to tell us a joke, Mike? A one-liner?
I'm having a blank. a blank mind at the moment.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. All right. Right. So if you think you are funny and smart, I would say just go around and start being funny. When somebody says, yes, you're funny and smart, hey, that's a good start. That's a good start. Okay. Let me hear from one more person. Mohan, you talk about leadership in various capacities. Would you like to share? Mohan?
So leadership, why I think that about leadership?
Yeah. Why? Why you think you have it in you, or you have the potential?
I mean, yeah, it's because I faced a lot of challenges in the past. I never go back. It's like I face the problems, resolve the problems, then I overcome them. So I did it in the past in several aspects: informal leadership, may it be in challenge solving apartment, my apartment problems, or maybe in the family, or maybe at office, maybe club. So I know that there will always be problems. It's basically you should not run away. Stand firm, be consistent, and you will find your way to solve them. So I did it several times, so it is embedded in me to be a leader. Yeah.
So you had several challenges, right?
Yeah.
So which means that you have several speeches.
Yeah, of course, speeches too. Yeah.
Right. I mean, so you have your speeches revolving around the challenges. Am I right?
Yeah.
Because
If you see, if somebody carefully observes, I think only I know. My speeches, I most of the time I will show the problem I faced, then how I resolved it. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, that is good. And that's how you discover yourself. When you know things happen in your life, you feel this is for me. Like earlier Mike said, I feel I'm funny, smart, I can make jokes, I can tell jokes. And when life gives you opportunities, you know you have discovered yourself to be there. The second thing is that what is your story? Each of these challenges tell you a story. And guess what? Sorry. What is there? What is there? Because I believe that when you have a story, you have a message and you have an expertise. They all are connected. What do I mean by that? When you have a story, you only remember things closer to your heart, not everything. And then it leads to what you believe in. It leads to what somebody said, authenticity. And it leads to what is expertise. One of the recent things which I'm learning is about XQ, which is called experiential quotient, by a person called Srinivas KM. And he talks about how we have so much experience in our life. It's not wasted. Use it, learn from it, leverage on it. And your expertise may be, like, for example, I believe that one of the person was saying that, hey, my Ekta, financial acumen, I believe, Ekta, you are from financial background. That is your expertise. So I'm looking at it that, yeah, that's your expertise, but how can that expertise help me? And how can your stories of that expertise and the stories can connect with me and change my life? And if you can come from your expertise, Mohan, your expertise is going through challenges, and I would say the experience is that overcoming it, which has taught you a lot of things. It has taught you a lot of things. And those things are the one people are looking forward to hear. Right? You cannot say that in my resume that, hi, I have a list of challenges and my expertise is facing challenges. May not be, but your life tells that from experience that connects with what you do, that connects with your stories. And if you can combine all this, your experience, your expertise, and your stories, that is the most authentic speech ever been done. Then you connect, make it stronger in your stories when you bring it up. Towards the end, remember that we all have stories. Many stories. I believe every day is a story. And there's a saying that we all are nothing but stories. It's up to us how we want to unravel. It all depends on you. Finally, I believe that every story has a message. And I'm a strong believer of that. Each one of us is born not just to survive or exist, but to leave a message to this world. We are wrapped up with the message. Our life, our every incident is preparing us to share the message. I do not know what's your message. I do not know deep down, but each of us believe in the message strongly. And when you have that message, don't hesitate to share it. You will not find people who love it, but you will find people who will relate with it, and that will change their lives. And if you're holding the message in the bottle, tied up, cock sealed, that's not what it's meant. It's time to open it up, tell the world whatever message you have. It could be as simple as eat broccoli, good for health. That's fine. It could be as simple as that, but that's fine. But each of us are born with a message, and discover it. Bring your expertise, bring your story, bring your life, bring your voice. And that makes you one of the greatest ever speakers and prepared for table topics as well. Because that's when you realize that goals may give you focus, but dreams give power. And we all are born to not only achieve our dreams, but also to help others see their dreams. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for your attention. I hope it was worth your time. And now I'll have a few minutes for Q&A.
Big round of applause for DTM Srinivas. Thank you so much for a wonderful educational. I'd like to take 1 or 2 minutes. Timer, will you give us 1 or 2 minutes to ask questions? If you can unmute yourself, if you do have a question, please unmute to ask some questions before DTM Srinivas will take a chance on some of us on DTM. Please go ahead.
So I have a question. If anybody else raised a hand, I don't know. Yeah, one question is, I liked one technique, Srinivas, the first one, tell an opinion and then tell a reason why you get the opinion, tell an example and then tell the opinion again. So one I heard is in the contest, we should not tell an opinion because if the judges have a different opinion, then they may not vote for you. So that is one. And the second one is very generic. I mean, a kind of, I face it genuinely. Sometimes when people give me a topic, I don't know, sometimes I don't get the idea. Sometimes I very well easily connect to the topic and sometimes I don't know how to connect to it. So these 2 questions.
Yes, sometimes judges will not like your opinion. I agree with that. But if you follow judges' rule book, they shouldn't. They shouldn't.
Okay.
They shouldn't. Why? That's what we teach in judges training. For example, if I don't support certain religion and the person is talking about it, it's a contest. You don't say sex, politics, religion is not allowed. And the person is speaking. I said, I should be focusing on the speech, material, structure, content, even though I may not agree with the person's beliefs. This is not a belief time. Judges should not focus on that. That's one thing. Now, unfortunately, they do. At times, they feel that, and that's something we keep reminding judges, saying that don't do that. Why? Because every person speaks. They may speak something which you don't believe in, but it's not about your belief. Hey, it's purely about the structure of the speech, the content of it. Follow the guidelines. If they follow the guidelines, it doesn't matter what they believe. You will win that point there. That's what I believe. Mohan, could you repeat your second question again?
Yeah, the second question is, somebody gives a topic, right? Sometimes I cannot immediately connect to that. I mean, the ideas, they don't flow to my mind. For example, last time somebody gave me a red chili. So red chili, when I take it, I mean, I was never prepared to speak on red chili. So, sometimes I find it, I recollect the ideas and that takes time. Is it, we need to keep some stories ready in our back pocket? Or is it that by practice we get it? Or what is the technique there?
Yes, sometimes you have some stories. You can have some stories in your back pocket. But this is what I did. But you got to decide which story really connects with that. Don't just force a story just for the sake of it. That's one thing. I remember I received a topic in one of the Toastmasters Club. It was a Chinese New Year. And the topic is the Chinese have this tradition that when somebody comes to their home, you do certain tradition. What do you think about it? I'm like, I'm Indian. I don't even know the tradition. That was my whole opening. I said, I'm Indian. I don't even know the tradition. I don't even know the tradition exists in a Chinese culture then. And my next statement was that I'm an Indian. Let me tell you the Indian traditions I grew up with. That's it. Now the whole speech, 90% was purely about the culture cycle. And my closing was that it doesn't matter what culture, what background, what race you belong to. Cultures, traditions are meant to hold something. Do it because you believe in it. Do it because you respect it. Do it because you want to stay close to it. And most important in every culture is what? Stay connected with people. So I had a message which applies to every religion, every culture and all. So though I had no idea about what Chinese tradition is then. So yeah, so I talked about what I know. I just went And
Okay.
I've started with that. So that's called facing the elephant in the room. Just point it out and say, or pick up a part of it. Red chili, great. Let me tell you, I don't take chilies. But let me tell you what I love to take. I love to take desserts. And you speak about desserts. That's it. It's a risk. Yes, it's a risk. But people will appreciate your honesty, integrity, and your authenticity there that you spoke about what you do. You're not into chili, you're not into red chili. I don't know, I'm not into red chilies, but I am into this. So go around, speak about a dessert, speak about a drink, something, and then connect. All right. Thank you so much. I hope it helps.
Srinivas, I would like to cut us short and just ask you to go
Yes.
ahead now and start us on our turbo topics. We're 6 speakers. Perhaps I'll ask all the speakers who are prepared to take advantage to put your hands up so that he can respond to any of us with the turbo topics practice. Thank you.
Okay. So so they raise hand and then I come up with the topic, or how's it go? So it means that I start with Ekta.
Exactly. Thank you.
All right, Ekta, before I ask, so I believe that we can experiment with slightly harder topics. Is that okay?
Sure.
Slightly harder. All right, Ekta, give me a moment. Ekta Agarwal. When life gives you lemons, make a chocolate cake. When life gives you lemons, make a chocolate cake.
What an interesting topic. There are many opportunities where life gave me lemon, but I decided to make a chocolate cake out of it. For example, in my last role, my boss would give me a lot of feedback and would tell me that maybe you're not good for this, or maybe you're not good for that, or maybe you can do better on this. But I decided that I deserve much more than that, and I decided to make a move. I have now joined an organization where I enjoy and I work with people who appreciate what I bring to the table. And hence, it has helped me grow as a professional. So when there are sore times, it's also important that you realize the sweetness in your life and bring it forward and present it in a platter that people start enjoying it. That is how I would say that when life gives you lemon, you make a chocolate cake. Thank you.
Can I give quick feedback now, or shall I wait later? Okay. All right.
Give it now.
Right.
Give it now, Sri. It's easier.
Right.
We'll remember.
Okay, Ekta, good speech. Thank you for sharing it. But this is what, since it's a table topic, so I'm going to straight go directly to the point. This is what I feel, Ekta. As a speaker, I felt that you had more in your story which you were hesitating to share, and I felt you could have brought some realistic situation in to make the story more alive. For some reason, what I felt was that you were trying to be a good speaker instead of being the Ekta speaker you can be. You are not as expressive as you can be. You can be more passionate about it as you can be. You can be more upset about things what happened. But you were just a nice good speaker. So I would say you are hesitating, or fear of mistake, or fear of what goes wrong is still there, or fear of uncertainty is there. Don't hold back. Add a story,
Sure.
but don't hold back. This is the place to do mistakes. This is the place to do mistakes. This is Toastmasters. So don't hold back. Just go for it, and that's fine.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Sure.
Am I making sense? Am I making sense?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So don't hold back next time when you do table topics.
Agree.
Okay. All right. Next will be Catherine. Okay. Catherine. Why do people fall in love Why do people fall in love? Catherine.
It is a choice that we make. It is a choice that we follow. A choice that we allow our hearts to open. You see, we were created to be known and to be known intimately and to know others. That process of intimacy, of knowledge of another, is what I would call love. Falling, I do not know if that is the right description, but falling is what enthusiasts of love have called it. Falling in love. I do not prescribe to falling. I prescribe to choosing to love. It is a choice we make. For example, I made a choice to fall in love with my children. As a nurturer, as a mother, I cannot hide away from the 9 months of labor that allowed me to see a vulnerable in my face. I cannot run away from that one. I have seen mothers not give up on adult children. I have seen parents not give up on children who probably have made mistakes, but they will walk with them through life. I do not subscribe to falling in love. I believe it is a choice. The choice we make to be known, to open our hearts to be known, and to allow another to know us. Why do we fall in love? I choose. We make a choice to love and to be known. Back to you, Table Topics Master.
Right. I think that was very nice, Catherine. I like the twist at the beginning. I was like, okay, I like the twist. You started with choice and then you moved on to it's not falling in love, it's a choice to make. So you connected it very well. If I could just add one feedback would be, when was your toughest choice you made as a mom? One example of that would have been like, I can relate. So you got to just look at the audience, right? There are a few moms here and like, okay, they would relate with that choice I made. That one sentence or one short 15, 20 seconds situation which happened in your life, and audience can say, been there, I can relate with you. If they can make them feel that, think that, yes, that's a great, that would be a cherry on the top. Say that. Yeah, thanks. Brenda, good. So the heat is increasing. Brenda, you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Brenda, too much humility is pride. Too much humility is pride. Brenda.
Too much humility is pride. And I very much agree with this statement. And let me tell you why. How many of us are humble just because we do not have the authenticity to talk honestly and candidly? We are concerned more about ourselves than we are concerned about the other person's knowledge, if they can take that feedback and develop their skills based on what feedback we have. So instead of giving a contentious feedback, we might choose to be humble and say only the good things. For example, if I know that my leader is autocratic and is just piling on responsibilities on me, and I'm the humble person, a people pleaser who does not want to be contentious and call the elephant in the room and tell them that this is where you're going wrong. I would choose to be humble, be the nicest person ever, and take the extra load on me and be just the submissive person who I might choose to be just because I want to be humble rather than being authentic and being myself. So, what is your take on this? Would you want to be humble or be authentic? I leave that to you, my friends, to decide. I would definitely be authentic and take my pride in being authentic rather than being humble and being proud. So back to you, table topic master. Thank you.
Well done, Gupta. I think you had a very good message at the end, which is very good. And I like how you twisted from that part to authentic. And I believe you are the one who said authenticity, right? Earlier, were you the one who mentioned authenticity in when I asked what you want to be known for? Or you want to be known for,
Reliable.
Yeah. Right. So that is great. So I like the twist on that part. The twist was very good. But just to add a little bit to it there, what if you started with a story or a question? Instead of saying that I agree with this thing, I'm on this side. Instead of just starting with a question or a story or saying something, do you remember the time? This. Yeah. I'll start with when I was this. When I was young, when I was working here, I was this. And I chose to be authentic. So, ladies and gentlemen, why? And then you move on for that part of it. Because take people to a point which makes them curious in first 30 seconds. If you can make them curious in first 10 seconds, they are hooked on. So say something. As the saying says, in first 7 seconds, the moment you stand on the stage or before you start speaking, people have made their impression. Somehow the subconscious minds have made impression. In the first 7 seconds, you prove them right or wrong is up to you. The way you speak, what you utter from you. And that tells them, should I listen to this person for 10 more, 20 more, 30 more seconds? That is what I should. Okay. So start with the same speech, same title. Think again, what could have been the different ways I start? So that's what I do. It happens everyone. What is the other way I could have started a speech? What is the new way? Or what else stories could I have shared? What different message could I have shared? How I could have connected and started authenticity. Something like, hey, I'm not a humble person. Let me tell you why it's okay. People are like, okay, tell me why. So people like, then you make your point, right? What you believe in that. Or you can start saying that I don't believe in humility, but I believe in staying humble. Something like that. And like, okay, tell me why. All right, so I believe the next
We have
is
one more, Sri.
Yeah.
Dee Marie, can you come on? Are you able to come on, Dee Marie? She's I think she's not. Okay, the floor is open. President, floor is open.
DTM Sri, can we ask kindly one of the guests?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Brooke Mata, would you kindly take a topic?
Sure, I will give it my best. I haven't done anything like this before, but
Since you're a guest, I'm going to give you a very simple and easy one. Okay, very simple and
Sure.
easy one. Okay. Brooke Mata, time always heals. Time always heals. Brooke.
I think that time does not always heal. Maybe if the wound is emotional, that may be the case, but if it's physical, if it's a chronic wound, then it's possible it's something that you'll deal with for your entire life. The reason that I have this perspective is because my husband actually has a chronic back injury. And so having dealt with that with him for the past 2 years, it's very much an up and down situation. There's an aspect to it that is almost like a roller coaster. Sometimes he feels like he's progressing on the path of healing. Other times he does not. And as much as I want to be optimistic and say that 5 years from now, he will be completely past the back injury. He won't be dealing with it anymore. I have to be realistic and understand that it is possible that it's something that he will be dealing with for the rest of his life. And so I think when people say that time heals all wounds, maybe that is true for emotional wounds where you can put in the work and you can, really do what you need to do in order to have progress in that area. But if it's a physical wound or a chronic injury, then as much as we would like to think that it will get better and time will heal it, it may not be the case. Back to you, Toastmaster.
Right. Thank you so much, Brooke. I think that was a very nice story. Very nice. What I mean to say is that we could relate with you. We don't exactly know what are you going through. Not all of us there, but I like the point how you beginningly you disagreed and you made a very strong point. Time doesn't heal in all the situations, and I thought that is very good. I would make the same point. I said, no, time doesn't heal everything. Love doesn't heal everything. So we can say that. Right. Yes. Sometimes time makes things worse, so we don't know. So I thought your story was very relatable and everything. And this is what I want to tell everybody, that sometimes we think that we need a lot of energy and passion as we speak. Some stories we don't need. Some stories, some speech content we don't need. We just need a subtle, simple conversational voice, which Brooke had, which is very good, which makes perfect sense. Because this is not a speech where you want to be high energy and passionate about. Doesn't make sense. But this is a story you just want a simple, subtle, tell people that that's what I think. That's what it's all about, and that makes perfect sense. So that is great. So yes, thank you for sharing your story.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. DTM, we're running out of time. In the interest of
back to
time,
you.
I'd like to find out from the timer, do we have any more speeches to take?
No, I don't think so. That's it.
Dr. Mary Thomas, would you kindly take the honors to thank our guest speaker, DTM Srinivas?
Thank you, Madam President. When it comes to DTM Srinivas, thank you is not enough. Srinivas has been the pillar of District 102, and I've known him for the last 2 years. The word thank you is not enough. Whenever I reach out to him, he's always there for me. So I think the word I have to use would be, I am so grateful for who you are. Really, I really mean that. Every time I need something, a Toastmaster needs something, you're always there for us. I won't even say it's for me, but because what I do is for the club. So I am truly grateful and totally appreciate the time that you take out for me and for Toastmasters. Thank you is just too small. Back to you, Madam President.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster. Round of applause for DTM Srinivas. Thank you so much for bringing the M&Ms, the Oreo, and the PPFs to our learning. I hope that we will participate and use these tenets in our practice as table topic speakers to become better and better learners. I hope that Toastmasters and guests, you have had a wonderful run for your time. I would like to welcome guest Mohini Ramaglingam. Mohini, would you like to say hello to us and let us know how you found out about this meeting? Mohini, would you unmute yourself and speak to us? Are you there?
Yeah, I am. Hello, everyone. Thank you for this wonderful meeting, but I was very unfortunate. I had a question to ask, but I didn't have my net moved out on me, so I was very unfortunate. I actually wanted to ask DTM Srinivas, what do you do? I have this tendency to keep forgetting my topic by the time I come to the end of table topics. I forget to tie up with my topic. Anyway, great meeting. We'll meet up again next time. Thank you.
DTM Srinivas, did you hear that question?
Do I have time for that?
Yes, you have.
Oh, thank you so much.
It happens with all of us. At time we are so passionate about talking this halfway. I go around, so what was the topic? It happens. The trick here is that say something very general towards the end. Something very generic towards the end, which kind of makes sense. So that's why in life, we need to focus and be consistent and be stable. That's what changes everything. It applies to everything. Sometimes you got to say some of those generic stuff. That's why we got to be true to ourselves and believe in ourselves and be honest to others and teach ourselves. Okay, those are things which kind of make sense with every kind of thing. So sometimes we need to say those things. That happens. That happens. The trick to remember next time is before you take time before you start speaking. So you know exactly. Sometimes we jump so quickly that we forgot, and we forget, and it's not nice to ask the table. So what was the topic? What was the topic? It's not a good idea. In a contest, not a good idea, right? In a club, it's still okay. People are nice and kind. Contest, you're being judged for that you don't listen carefully. That's fine. Listen carefully and take some time before you start. If you're not clear, you can ask them to repeat. It's okay. Take some time before you start, and then you know you are going with direction. If you still forget, well, say something very inspirational which makes sense to everyone, and then hope that it connects with the topic. That's all I can say. Yes, Mary.
Yeah, as you spoke, I remembered something. For the contest, can you just reconfirm when does the timing actually start? I remember DTM Susan mentioning that. I remember, Susan, you said that in some cases, the moment you step up there, timing starts or something, or is it that when you start with your first gesture? Srinivas, could you just clarify that?
Your first utterance.
Sorry?
Your first utterance, the first thing you say.
Not the gestures?
Sometimes gestures can be, but most of the times they don't know if the gesture is part of the speech or not. So usually you utter. Because if you wave a hand or do something and all, people don't really count. Utter is the most easiest to remember. Yeah, that's how it works.
Thank you.
But this one, I would say that there are times timer will start even at gestures. So most importantly, follow the watch your timing. Watch your time. After read, 3 sentences max. After read, 3 sentences max. That's the rule. That's 15, 20 seconds. That's it. Not more than that. Yes, Brinda.
Sorry, I just remembered sometimes the titles are very complex. Like they select a rhyming title or too long, like 2 sentences as a topic. Do these things happen normally, or is it like some table topic masters choose such topics?
Yeah, my 2018 topic was the hand which plucks the rose still has the fragrance, something. I was like, what? I still don't remember. I'm like, what? Not only me, all the contestants like, what? And the person who won the contest, remember the word fragrance. He said, fragrance, I tell you the perfume I used, mistakenly, I used my wife's perfume today. But my mother-in-law, and he talks about his wife and mother-in-law, the perfume they used and everything, we were like, it had no sense with the topic. Then the person said, I don't know what the topic says. He was honest. He said, I don't know. All I remember is that Rose, yeah, my wife is Rose, and today's Mother's Day, give Rose to your mother. And he talked about fragrance and everything. And we were like, but hey, sometimes we just take part of the speech and say, that's what I get it. That's what I get it. You may not understand those philosophical topics sometimes, but that's okay. Like I got a speech one called The Art of Silence. Right. What are you going to talk about it? And my friend said, that's what she spoke. She says, I can't be silent. And I tell you why. That's all that she spoke about. She said, I can't be a silent person and I'll speak mine. So I don't know if it's art or not, but I'll speak about why I'm not a silent person and I believe in speaking up. And she's talked about her story. I said, yeah. So that's why you just pick up part of it. Some table topics just want to be very funny. Just pick up part of it and just go on. All right, and be honest sometimes. I don't get the whole thing, but I'll tell you what I get. That's fine. That's fine. People like that honesty.
Thank you.
you so much. Thank you so much, Srinivas. Thank you once again. We really, really appreciate so much the learning that you have shared with us. We will stay with this beyond our contests. We'll never forget this time. So thank you once again for choosing to come and share your knowledge with the club. At this juncture, I would like to ask our timer to give us our report. Toastmaster Guillermo, please have the podium.
Thank you for this meeting, everyone, the guests, the speakers, and our educator, Srinivas. Here are the table topic times. Edka spoke for 1 minute and 5 seconds. Catherine, 1 minute and 55 seconds. Brunda, 1 minute and 40 seconds. And Brooke, 1 minute and 45 seconds. That is it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Guillermo. I would like to now adjourn this meeting